Oh, old school comic reviews. Okay, today this is going to be an anime review. Um, I'll just state up front, I'm not a super big anime fan, so there's a lot of stuff about the genre or whatever I really don't know a whole lot about. I just kind of dip and dab every once in a while, just pick up stuff, just to try it out or whatever. This is going to be Black Lagoon Season 2, Second Barrage. This is from my copy says 2006. There's a season one out there which I have not watched yet, and I believe there's a third season out, but I don't know the availability of that. I was able to get mine pretty cheap online, so I'm happy about that. Basically, the premise is the Lagoon Company is basically this small company of four people, and they're more or less these kind of guns for hire, mercenary cargo ship type people. They'll ship in cargo for you. They'll run guns. They'll take occasionally shady jobs. They operate out of this town called Runapur, which is a fictional city that's supposed to be, I guess, in Thailand. I believe that's where it's supposed to be. And inner city is like kind of pretty much populated by rustabouts and corruption and killers and all kinds of organized crime people and all kinds of like shady characters and things and colorful people and whatnot. And so that's where they operate out of it. The group is basically there's Dutch, who's the leader. There's Benny, who's kind of like their tech guy. But I'd say the main characters, the main protagonists, are basically Rock and Revy. Rock is kind of their businessman guy, negotiator guy, interpreter guy, whatnot. Kind of the de facto conscious of the group in a way. And Revy is the muscle. She's like the sexy badass. She shows up with her guns when things go down. She's the person who kicks ass and takes names and blah 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 blah. Um, I really like this series. It's just a straight up action adventure thing. I really like the colorful characters. I like the writing, really tight, really solid. Doesn't seem very, it's not very cliche written, even though it's pretty basic. Um, let's see here. I really like the animation style. I like the visual look of it all. Um, let's see here. The episodes I got here. I've got three DVDs. What I got, and there's 12 episodes on here for the season. Or not 12 episodes. 12 episodes that make up three story arcs. That's what I wanted to say. The first story arc concerns these two siblings who basically go on a murder spree, and it's really weird and really creepy. It's kind of interesting. At one point, Benny says something to the effect of, "Yeah, you know what? Sometimes there are no happy endings." And when we get to the end of the story, sure enough, it's not a happy ending. The next one is a story where uh, Revy and another lady are trying to track down a woman who makes counterfeit money or whatever, and she's got a bounty on her head, and everybody's chasing after her, and so on and so forth, which is a little bit more lighthearted. But I tell you what, the story arc that really sold me on this series was the final story arc, which actually is 6 episodes. It's episode 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Basically, what the setup is, it has to do with a kind of a gang war between Yakuza and Japan. And what it is one of the Yakuza clans brings in this woman named Bella Laika. Bella Laika is also from Ranapur, and she and her men are ex Soviet soldiers or whatever, and they've got ties to the Russian mob, and the Russian mob also has like a presence in Japan too, which kind of figures into the story. But basically, the one Yakuza clan brings Bell Iker and her guys and as muscle to put the squeeze on the other Yakuza clan. And what you find out, and while this is going on, I should say, Rock and Revy meet this young lady. She's this teenage girl, and as the story goes on, we find out that she is actually the last living heir, the last blood relative of one of the other Yakuza tribes. So things get kind of complicated that way. And what really happens, though, what really gets things going is um, at one point, Bella Lyca decides, she's not really going to be following the orders of the one tribe anymore, and she starts handling things in her own way. Basically taking the attitude of, these people, they want a war. I'll give them a real war. And gradually things go from bad to worse to worser. Things get more and more chaotic, and Rock and Revy get caught up all in it all. And it's really great. It's a really good story. It's really well written, really tight, lots of different plot twists, well paced, action packed, cool, just cool fight scenes and battle scenes and shootouts and things like that. Another thing that I like, and it, once again, it doesn't seem very cliche. You don't go, oh, I've seen that a million times. It's very fresh, or at least it was fresh to me. Another thing I really liked was the whole storyline had this kind of odd sort of like existential subtext going to it. And I mean like existential philosophy, to the point where at the end of the story, somebody actually does name check Jean-Paul Sartre, who was like some French philosopher from back in the day or whatever. A lot of it has to do with people, really questioning themselves and questioning their motives and thinking about, what is life? Not just what type of life are we leading, which they do question, but, what does all this mean in general? You have people questioning, how much of their, life is the result of their own choices or the result of choices that they don't make, having to live with those choices, what does it all mean at one point or at a couple of points, it's brought up the idea of like, somebody says something to somebody else about, you say this is all about honor or about justice, but what does that mean in a situation where these people are all criminals who lie and betray and kill each other at the drop of a hat? None of this has anything to do with any sort of honor or justice. There's the idea where just the whole idea of even building off of that, what does all this mean anyway? You say you're doing something for revenge, but if you wanted your revenge, you should have stopped at this point. Why did you take it to that next point? And, and some of the characters have, answers, and some of the characters don't have answers. Some of the characters say things like, I did it because it amused me. I just wanted to do it, There's this whole idea of even seeing a character like Revy, or even to a lesser extent, or I should say in a different way, Bella Lyca, who basically have come to terms with this. People who have these ideas of, nothing matters, and so what if it does, But having said that, though, it's not like the story is all about, what do I want to say? The story does have a sort of, I don't know if I want to say moral outlook, but there is the idea that there are things that do matter. There is the idea that a value like loyalty does matter, even in this world. There are characters who do act honorably. One character I'm thinking of in particular is a character like I can't remember the character's name. I want to say Genshi. It's the character that Revy has nicknamed Jumbo. He was kind of this samurai bodyguard type guy for the teenage girl. That's a character who does act honorably. There are a couple other minor characters that do behave in an honorable fashion. Even a character like Revy, who sticks by Rock, even though she thinks everything he does is stupid and she could just leave at any time she wants to. She doesn't, because she sticks by him because, this is her guy, this is her partner, this is her friend. So it's really interesting. A lot of times in action adventure movies and comics and things like that, you just get, okay, it's all good guys versus bad guys, or it's, somebody's out for the revenge or whatever. And you do get that in here, but you also get, I think, an interesting food for thought. What else do I like about this series? I kind of like the relationship between Revy and Rock, where it's kind of hinted at that there's an attraction between the two, but neither one really acts on it. And I kind of like, and maybe this is just me reading more into it than it really is. I kind of like that they don't play it the way they play it on like a lot of sitcoms, where it's like, ho ho ho, will they or won't they? Ho ho ho, they're gonna hook up. No, they're not. Ah ha ha. It's more in a case where, both of the characters kind of know there's an attraction there, but they don't push it any further because both of them also kind of realize that maybe they're not good for each other, Like they're good friends, they're good coworkers, but to take it any further would probably be a disaster. And I don't know, like I said, there's a third season, so I don't know if they expand on that at all, but I thought that was an interesting part of the series as well. Couple of goofy nitpick things. At some point, somebody mentions Brett Favre and they completely mispronounce his name. They call him something like Brett Favre. Brett Favre is the American quarterback. For people who don't know, had a long, illustrious career with the Green Bay Packers and so on and so forth. But like I said, I just thought it was funny that somebody just mangled his name. Also, at one point, they're drinking Heineken, and the only reason I think is interesting is because it's very clearly Heineken beer. You can read the label that says Heineken, and if this was like a live action movie, I would have been like, okay, yeah, product placement. But since it's an animated thing, I'm thinking, okay, did the animators, the design artists, did they just read something that says, they are drinking beer, and the guys just put that in there for fun, or who knows, maybe it actually is, product placement. Why not? Why not have product placement in animation? I just thought that was interesting. If anybody's got any thoughts on that, hey, let me know. Okay, so that's it. Like I said, I had a lot of fun with Black Lagoon Season 2, Second Barrage. Eventually I'll get the first season. I might try to find the old manga because I really enjoyed this. If you've got anything to add, any advice, anything you want to recommend, let me know. Thanks, and you have a great day.